Hi, welcome to this new series of book reviews by GeoSpinach. I'm an individual that reads a lot of books, technical books specifically about history, warfare, geopolitics, economics, and so forth. I have more than 260 books and I read a book every week and more. So, this series is about analyzing the books that I have already read and the books that I read as I go along. Starting today, we're having a book I just finished last week, Born in Blood and Fire. The book review, I'm aiming to make it as short as possible, so let's get into the video. So, the title of the book is Born in Blood and Fire, the 4th edition. It's an audiobook, of course it exists as a normal book as well. Personally, I just listen to the books. The author is John Charles Chasty. The journal is about history and specifically a concise history of Latin America. And I want to point that out, a concise history of Latin America. Now, in regards to the book, here I'm going to give a rating for all that care about. The structure of the book is generally a very well structured book. So it starts from the beginning of the slavery in Latin America, gradually moves the development of the culture, as well as passes through the historical main events of the era and tries to divide it into well dug in chapters, and thus I'm giving it a 9 out of 10 in regards to structure. Many books can't really do a good work when it comes to having a good structure. In this case, the structure of the book is quite great. Now, in regards to the accuracy of the book, I'm giving it the depth and accuracy and giving it a 7 out of 10. Personally, I'm not an expert in Latin American history. I know in general history of Latin America, and I'm touching the subject a bit further. So I understand the book, it's not aimed for those that are experts for the field, but for a general audience. For me, as a person of a general audience, I liked it, but it was quite a bit disappointed. It didn't really get much into depth in many aspects of Latin American history, and only focused on some aspects, and in my opinion, it gave too much importance into some specific aspects. For example, the Mantiso and the cultural part of Latin America, which is very important as far as understanding when it comes to Latin American history, but you can't ignore the actual history of those nations combined, which in some instances the book does. I'm not saying generally it does a good work. I tend to be a hard critic. The quality of the work and how much I liked it, again, I give it 7 out of 10. It had a much bigger potential, even with the little time it had. So it's generally a smaller book, 400 pages, 500 pages, like 12, 18 hours. I don't remember specifically. It could ignore some subjects and not repeat them as much, like the Mantiso culture and the conflict between the classes, and also the fact that the author gave his own opinions and assumptions in some instances. I'm an economist in trade, and I like economics of history, history of economics, as well as history of war. And when it came to history of economics, I feel that the author was making quite a lot of assumptions without actually backing them up with quite a lot of evidence. Of course, many of his assumptions were right, nonetheless assumptions. So again, I'm giving it a 7 out of 10. It could have get a 6 out of 10, the same with the depth and structure. Now for audio users, I give it an 8 out of 10, pretty well audio quality, and an overall of 7.7, even a 7 out of 10. In general, as a book to introduce you to Latin America and the history of Southern America, it's quite a great book. And it's a recommendation by me. Thank you for watching and have a good night.